That was such a beautiful song and so beautifully sung. And our musicians just come through every Sunday. They just know how to do it. They know how to play that music. Or that in the Ray Charles movie where he said, I'm going to make it do what it do. These musicians know how to make it do what it do. Yes. Good morning. Happy spring. Yes. I'm hearing a little bit of raspiness there in the sound. Great time to begin anew, to clean out things, right? To kind of clear out things, make space for the new, this time of renewal, rebirth. By changing our minds, by changing the way we look at things, brings a major change into our life. When we change, everything around us changes. We're restored to wholeness when we realign our minds and our being with. I think I'm going to use the handheld here. I think I'm not getting distracted here by that microphone. Good morning. Yes. So wholeness is who we really are, who we already are, and renewing our minds and coming back to the realization of who we already are. Like wholeness never left us, although we might have stepped momentarily away from wholeness. We might have stepped momentarily away from our sense of being whole. But Ernest Holmes said, the founder of Science of Mind, said that there's nothing really to be healed, only the truth to be revealed. It's like coming back to the truth, coming back to what is already our essence. We're just always coming back home, coming back to our heart, coming back to our center. So much of life is coming back to our center, coming back to our remembrance that we're whole, perfect, and complete. Ernest Holmes specifically said, healing is not a process, but a revelation. For the revealing of the perfect person always heals. The process, if there is one, is the time and thought that it takes to arrive at the correct understanding of our perfect state in spirit. In other words, it's like the time it takes for us to remember that we're whole, perfect, and complete already. It's a shift in our own self. Some have said that the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing over and over, but expecting a different result, right? Many of us have heard that. That's the indication that it's time to pause and rethink. One of my early revelations and awakenings in the Science of Mind was a mental model I became aware of that I had that was a fairly conscious mental model, and yet unconscious in its outcome and in its results. Conscious meaning that I was aware that this was my model, but I was like, okay, it's working. It's working for me, right? And that model, that mental construct, because I felt like growing up, I felt like I pushed through a lot of challenges to get where I am, to get forward in life. And so I developed this mental model. Have you ever seen a football sled? Those big, I think it's called a sled. I've always called it a sled. It's this big contraption that the football players, it has padding on it, and the football players just hit it with their shoulders and put their whole body into it, and it only moves, a few inches or a foot or so. And then they go back and they hit it again, but they ultimately push it down the field. Right? They keep pushing this thing down the field, but it's with great effort, right? And it's part of their practice to be able to do what they do. right? Which is to go and hit, right? And that was my mental model, consciously somewhat, unconsciously somewhat, for how to get through life. Just keep pushing against that sled. Nothing will stop me. I'm just, put any obstacle in front of me and I'll just keep on ramming at it until I succeed, until I go forward, until I'm triumphant. And that model worked for me for a long time. It really helped me get through any obstacle that was put in my way. And then at some point, when I was coming into Science of Mind and I began to really look deeply at myself and I began to look deeply at how I was living my life and what my mental constructs were, and I began to examine that. And I began to consciously look at that. Really, is that how I want to do this thing called life? Just keep pushing against something, pushing against something. And I just then had, that was my mental model, right? That was what helped me get through, this mental model that, hey, anything you put in front of me, I'll push through it. And then as I began to rethink it, it was like, well, what if I just stood up instead of being down here and just hitting this thing? What if I just stood up and walked around it? What would that be like? And it was just a whole different, it was minor on some level, but the impact was major. It's like I don't need that mental model anymore. I don't have to think of life as something I have to struggle against. Life is something I have to just keep pushing, because it's going to be hard and it's going to be difficult, and I just push through. What if I could have a model where life doesn't have to be hard? And even when there are challenges, what if I had a model, even when there are challenges, that I don't have to push through, that I can move with and move around and flow with and flow around with grace and ease? Amazing how rethinking, shifting how we think about something, how we think about a situation, changes the whole situation, changes our whole relationship to things. So that's the first invitation today. The first invitation today is to rethink, reconsider how you're thinking about your life or how you're thinking about situations. It's springtime. Why not, right? Clear out the closet, rethink, take a pause, renew. There's a bumper sticker that I always liked. I was on the car of a man who went through ministerial school with me. Said, "Don't believe everything you think." Don't believe everything you think, right? And it's like rethink, become conscious, right? There's lots of thoughts and ways of thinking about things that we've held for a very long time, and we've never questioned them, and so we just keep on doing it, right? We just keep thinking that way, even if it's not necessarily serving us. So the invitation today is to rethink, to question what we believe, to question what we think. Is that really real for me? Oftentimes, in working with people in classes and counseling and other settings, I will ask them, or I will challenge them to say, is that really true what you just said? Like, this is the way you have been thinking about life, but is it really true? And I invite each of us today, maybe with the thing that we're working with the most right now, how could we think about it differently that would change the situation and change our relationship to it and change the way we're being with it, such that we could stand more powerfully, we could stand more easily, we could stand more peacefully with it? How could we rethink it? How could we challenge ourselves? How could we challenge our own beliefs? How could we challenge the way we're thinking about it? Because the way we think about it is so powerful. That sled, boy, thinking about that sled, that football sled, and that was the way I was living my life, that's a difficult life. Got through, couldn't put anything in front of me I couldn't get through, but that's a challenging life. That's like setting up my life to be challenging. It's like setting up my life to be challenging. Let's just have my life be challenging all the time. As opposed to challenges may arise, but here's how I'm going to be with those challenges. My life is not going to be about challenge. My life is not going to be about pushing against things. My life is going to be about flowing with things and being in grace. Amazing how shifting how we think about situations and our mental models, our mental constructs, so much of our lives that we're thinking are just happening accidentally or happening happenstance. So much of it is about our mental models, our mental constructs, the way that we're holding things in life, the way that we're thinking about things in life. One of my new favorite bumper stickers that I just saw in the last couple of weeks, it has nothing to do with the talk, but it was like, I'm talking about bumper stickers, so hey. This one said, you might have to pause for a second to get this. It said, non-judgment day is coming. I get excited about that day. Non-judgment day is coming. We should be walking around like that with bumper stickers and placards, right? Stand on the corner. Non-judgment day is coming. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find my way out. Step 2. Scene 2, I should call it. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Scene 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. I'm in a habit. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It's my own fault. I get out immediately. Scene 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Scene 5. I walk down another street. This is so parallel to, this idea of sometimes we keep doing the same thing out of habit, expecting a different result. And it's like, what is calling for shift here? How can I shift? How can I get out of my habits, my habitual ways of thinking about things, my habitual ways of doing things? Can I question myself? Can I challenge myself? And can I let go of my ego enough that, because sometimes we don't want to let go of something because that means we've been wrong all along, right? So it's like, I'm going to keep doing this because I don't want to be wrong, but then we're wrong for years and decades, right? As opposed to like saying, it's okay. Like, it's okay if I find a better way. It's okay if I let go of this idea. It's okay. So that's the rethink part, the rethink. And then we get to the renew, which is to begin showing up with this new awareness, to begin to showing up differently. Like putting in practice this new awareness. Like walking down another street. What's this new street I need to walk down today? Been walking down that street for a long time, keep falling in that same darn hole, or at least trying to avoid, maybe we find strategies, right? Instead of walking down a different street, it's a huge hole and we're just like, going around it, right? We find all these strategies not to have to really change very much. But what's the new street that you're being called to walk down today? What does that represent for you? What's the new street you need to walk down where you don't have to do it the same way you've been doing it all these years that has not really served and not really helped? That hole is still there. That big hole is still there. What's the new street that you're being called to walk down today? What are you called upon to become? If we change, everything changes. How many of you know that if if you change, everything changes. You start being more peaceful, everything changes. You start being more loving, everything changes. Everything around you changes. Nothing can stay the same around you if you change. Sometimes we want everything out here to change, but if we change, everything changes. The whole world changes on some level the moment we change. We're looking for a more peaceful world. Okay, well, let's be more peaceful. You can make the world more peaceful in an instant simply by becoming more peaceful. You can make the world more loving in an instant by becoming more loving. There's a song that I've heard at Agape a number of times. I've heard Beverly Freeman sing it. I heard Nikki Harris sing it. It's a song called A Change. And if you ever get to hear that version by Nikki Harris in a concert at Agape called A Change, that will rock. Well, I don't know what it will do for you, but let me just say for me, oh my goodness, even hearing the recording. I mean, I've heard it live, but even hearing the recording, it's just so moving because she's talking about a change that is occurring in me. And she's talking about her willingness in the song, her willingness to be changed. Like surrendering into, like, let me be changed. I am willing to be transformed in my being. Right? There's that higher self, the soul level of us, that higher truth of who we are, that divine presence right where we are. And can we surrender into that even when we don't know what kind of change needs to happen in us? Can we just be willing? Like, reveal to me and transform my being. I am willing to be changed at depth. Are you willing to be changed at depth? Like for your life to be easier, more graceful, more prosperous, more expansive, more free? Would you be willing to be changed at depth? Would you be willing to let go of all the ways that you think about life and all the ways, the things you're holding on to because you're used to them? And would you be willing to be changed at depth? Like a level of surrender and letting go that says, you know what? This way I've been doing it, it's really old. It's really not working so well. In this song, she goes through and she says, you know, I don't walk the same way. I don't talk the same way anymore because she's been changed. A change, a wonderful change has happened in me as she's singing. I always love the story. One of my favorite Bible stories is the story in Exodus where Moses is leading the Israelites out of Egypt. And Egypt represents bondage. In Egypt, they're basically in slavery. It's like bondage there. But as Moses is leading the Israelites out of Egypt, all along the way, they reach all kinds of challenges and obstacles. And every time they do, they cry out to Moses, like, Moses, how could you have taken us out? Like we had all kinds, we knew where our meals were coming from, like we were comfortable there, and now you got us out here in the wilderness and we don't know what's going on, right? Every step of the way. And then they would get through that and they'd be all okay for a while. But each time, right? And that's like, that ego part of us, that part of us that likes comfort, that likes what's familiar, sometimes kind of draws us down, right? That likes that familiar, that likes, even if it's not working, right? Like the Israelites were in bondage. They were in slavery. It was not a good life, but it's familiar. And now they were on unfamiliar ground. But that story is that once they stepped out there, and even Moses himself was like, who am I to lead? I'm going to lead the Israelites out of Egypt? Me? What? Like God gave, like, you know, this is your task. He's like, me? Like, I'm going to do this, really? And then it's like, yes, because you're going to trust divine wisdom and divine guidance. You're not going to rely on that small sense of who you are. You're going to rely on that inner guidance, that inner wisdom, that inner presence that is constantly guiding us. So could we surrender into allowing ourselves to be changed at depth, to have revealed to us, and then follow through on what it is that would create the shift that we're actually asking for? So that's the second one. First one is rethink. Change the way we're looking at things. The second one is renew. Be willing for change to occur within our being. Be willing to walk differently, talk differently. Be willing to show up differently by the transformation that we've invited into our being. And the third one is re-engage. After we've done this inner work, we've taken a pause, we've rethought, we've renewed, and we're now in a new space, a new way of being, a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing, a new way of walking, to now go back out into our lives with this new way of being. We walk down a different street now. We don't walk down that same old street with the big hole anymore. We walk down a different street. There's a comic strip that I once read, and a man asked the crowd, how many want change? And the crowd roared and cheered, yes. And then he said, how many want to change? And the crowd went silent. There's a recent comic strip that's similar that I posted to my Facebook page. And this is one where a group of people are sitting with a consultant or someone who's a transformation facilitator, something like that. And the spokesperson for the group says, we're hoping you'll lead us on a journey of transformation without requiring any changes. So this is sometimes how we want to do it, and really this, of course, doesn't work, right? We're being called to shift and change, to grow into what is our next step, which means letting go of some things. Growth and moving forward always requires a letting go of what doesn't serve anymore and a stepping into some newness. What better time than spring? Do some spring cleaning. Let go of what doesn't serve. Step into the new life that is wanting to be birthed and born and expressed through you, through me, through us. Ah, yes. So in closing, I just invite us today, the invitation today is to try walking down a different street. Allow yourself to be changed and to change. God bless you. Enjoy the journey. Thank you. And let us turn within. Let's take that within for a moment. And I, these days in praying, really invite you to join with me in the prayer. So we are praying together. I'm the mouthpiece, and yet we are praying together. So let us together enter into that inner chamber of our being and know the presence of the divine right where we are, that the presence of wholeness, of perfection, of love, of infinite wisdom and intelligence is right where we are as our very being. That we are that divine presence in unique expression. That we are so much bigger than the constructs and the ways that we've constructed mentally of who we are and what life is. We are so much bigger than that. We are the infiniteness of the presence of infinite intelligence, love, wisdom expressing. And so it is from this place, we move from this place. We move from this higher truth of our being, this higher truth about our life, we move from that place. We move from that awareness. We move from that renewed, rethought way of being. And we re-engage in our lives from this higher plane of seeing and knowing and being. And from that higher plane, we begin to take the steps in the truth of who we are. We walk down a totally different street. We stop going near the hole. We stop falling in the hole. We walk down a completely new street today. And we know, each one of us, what that represents for us. And we make that powerful choice. We release that which no longer serves, and we step into the newness that our hearts have been whispering about to us for a long time. To take that step, make that move, let go of what's not serving, step into that newness. Life wants to happen in such a greater way right where we are. And so today is the day. And we release what doesn't serve, and we begin to take the steps into what is calling us. And we move from that place of powerful. We move from power. We move from that place of trust that we are constantly guided, supported, uplifted in every way, on every front. And so I just give great thanks for this awareness. I give great thanks for the good that is coming forth right now from this expanded awareness, from this renewed consciousness, from this willingness to allow ourselves to be changed at depth. In great gratitude, I release this word to that immutable law, that creative medium that only knows to say yes. It is ready to accept the impress of our own new thinking, our own renewed thinking, and bring it into manifestation. Life is working for us. Nothing is working against us. For this, in great gratitude, I just let it be. And I invite each one to join with me in grounding and accepting it with the words, and so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life when I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, and I didn't know that the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged and you're struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go. Just let it all go. And this is what you have to say. Say, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you, Shirley. What a perfect song to culminate our come right after the message, and the ushers are coming forward. We reached our offertory time. And let us do this also with this renewed mind, like not just out of habit, but really reach into our heart and see, release any sense of guilt or obligation, and step into our hearts and see what is it in our heart that says, what am I to give here today? Trust that, be good with that, and allow that to be enough. No more guilt, no more sense of I don't have enough. We give from that place of the overflow, that place of joy and love, and we always have enough to give, and we have plenty to give. And so I just give thanks for all the ways that each one supports this community, and the ushers go forward. Thank you.
Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Spirit washed. Oh, when she washed. When Spirit washed, she washed my fears away. Oh, it's a happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Spirit washed. Oh, when she washed. When Spirit washed, she washed my fears away. Oh, it's a happy day. She taught me how to watch, fight and pray, fight and pray, and in rejoicing, and every day, every day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Spirit washed. Oh, when she washed. When Spirit washed, she washed my fears away. Oh, it's a happy day. Yes, it's a happy day. Oh, it's a happy day. She taught me how to watch, fight and pray, fight and pray, and rejoicing, and every day, every day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. When Spirit washed. Oh, when she washed, when Spirit washed, she washed my fears away. Oh, it's a happy day. Yes, it's a happy day. Oh, it's a happy day. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Shirley Wallace and musicians. Oh, happy day. Yes. I'm going to invite you to stand with me and extend your hands out to these offerings. And we just recognize the power and presence right where we are, that we are a blessing and we are capable of being a blessing and giving a blessing and blessing. And so we bless this offering right now. We know it goes forth and blesses all whom it touches and then circulates right on back and returns to us heaped up, pressed down, and running over. And so, wow, how beautiful it is to be in that divine law of circulation where we can never outgive God. We keep giving and it just keeps coming back. How good it is. We give thanks, and so it is. So we're going to fan out to the edges to sing our closing song. And I invite anyone who wants to stay after the service. Go take 5 minutes, grab yourself something to eat, come right back in here. Anyone who is new or newly a member and wants to hear more about the center, come join us. We'll have fun. It's only going to be about 30 minutes. Thank you.
Just a few seconds of your time. One thing really quickly, I heard this morning on Super Soul Sunday, which kind of goes along with yesterday's class and today's sermon, as if you want to be right, choose love. Because really, everybody just wants to be loved. And then with this, anybody that's just itching to be of service but doesn't really know, what they could do. Next Saturday, 9 o'clock, I promise to have a key and the door open. Donna, if you guys want to be of service, if we can get, 4 or 5 people here to put our slip covers on our chairs for Easter service, Sunday service, it would be great. I mean, it goes really quickly. We can do it in about an hour, and you get the camaraderie and the joy and the blessing of being of service. So I would really appreciate that. Anybody that can, show up. Thank you.